What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be recapping Game 10 of the year for your Winnipeg Jets. They come in 8-1-0, coming off their first loss of the season against the Toronto Maple Leafs. In this one, they'll be playing the Detroit Red Wings. This is a big game for Winnipeg. They got, pretty shelled by the Leafs in the first two periods of that game, and ultimately it was their first loss of the season. Their 5-on-5 play has not been good, especially the first line of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabe Vilardi. On the power play and special teams, they are fantastic. However, when it comes to 5-on-5, they've been one of the worst in the NHL. So the puck has barely even touched the ice and that line goes on, and here comes Kyle Connor to Gabe Vilardi, 5-on-5, second shot of the game, and they make it 1-0 right out the gate. That's what you love to see. We've needed that line to get going for the better half of, almost a calendar year now, and they come out firing immediately. If they can, start playing like that, that would be great. It's 1-0 Winnipeg. On that line's very next shift, just a minute later, they're in the O zone. Kyle Connor throws it at the net, and Neil Pionk scores. 2-0 Winnipeg. What's going on with this line all of a sudden? They couldn't buy a goal 5-on-5 to save their lives. They couldn't generate a chance, and now the line all of a sudden is, 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of the game. I know obviously they didn't score the goal, but they're the ones that set it up. Neil Pionk, 2-0 Winnipeg. And just when you thought it was over for this line, Gabe Vilardi sauces it over to Kyle Connor with 4:16 remaining in the first. That's the Jets' 7th shot of the period, and they now lead 3-0 in enemy territory. Kyle Connor, have yourself a night at home. That's a goal and 2 assists in the first period, and hey man, this is pretty impressive. He's got point number 500 in his career in this game, scored 500, 501, and 502. Kyle Connor's a bad man. He's off to a terrific start this season. Now, that first period was very impressive. The Jets came out, that top line really dominated, and they showed, hey, we can make some noise if we really want to. It's the first time we've really seen that line 5-on-5 really ever do anything. I'm not just talking about this season. Last year, it was a giant disappointment, and that's why so many people were clamoring for Nick Ehlers to be swapped with Kyle Connor, as that line of Ehlers, Scheifele, and Vilardi had a ton of success, when needed last season. So now we look at this line, and I say to myself, wow, if they can play like this all the time, the Jets are a very scary team. Up 3-0 here in Detroit. How will they respond in the second? In the second, early on, Detroit came out kind of flatter than I thought. I thought we were going to see a push from Detroit, but alas, we did not get it. The Jets take a penalty, and Dylan Larkin would score his 5th of the season on the power play. The power kill, as it's been, known this season, has been very good for Winnipeg, but unfortunately, they give Detroit a bit of momentum, and from there, Detroit was rolling downhill. At the end of the period, they would take another penalty, and Alex DeBrincat would score once again on the power play, his 5th of the year, and it's 3-2 Detroit with all the momentum going into the third. The Jets on their heels, and you start to wonder, okay, was that first period just a blip for Winnipeg? Was that just, a fluke? Are they, kind of turning back to how they played in the first couple of periods against Toronto? Are they in trouble in the third? Well, to start the third period, I think Detroit was going to come out, really had a lot of momentum here. Pionk dumps it in, and this happens. They score. Jets go up 4-2 on one of the weirdest, trashiest goals you'll ever see. Nino Niederreiter with his 5th of the season. And the Jets go up 4-2, completely taking the wind out of the sails here in Detroit. And that's just really unfortunate if you're a Red Wings fan. After that, it was pretty much no contest. Later in the period, the Jets go to the power play, and Neil Pionk rips it, baby. Throws it past Alex Leon. And the Jets go up 5-2. The road is on. And hey man, have a night, Neil Pionk, guy that had probably one of the worst games of his career against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then he comes out and has, definitely one of his better games this season. Jets go up 5-2. A couple of minutes later, the Jets will go back to the power play. Colin Miller, wham, as the power play is expiring, 6-2, and that's how this one would end, as the Jets put some icing on the cake here in Michigan, and flat out embarrassed the Detroit Red Wings. 6-2 your final, Jets win, and this was a much needed one. This was a game where, it really felt like they needed to answer, especially that top line of Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde, and they did just that. And that's super fun to see. I know before the game I was a little bit annoyed that they didn't change the lines, as, when they did against Toronto, they had probably their best period of the season up until that point, but then they followed up with an even better one in the first period. You gotta love it. That was awesome by the Winnipeg Jets this year. Kyle Connor on fire. He's doing it a little bit more often, 5-on-5 the last 3 games too, so you love to see it. The Jets could be a problem with how good their power play is, with how good their penalty kill is, with the exception of tonight. And if the 5-on-5 play can improve like it did in this game, then they're going to be a massive issue for teams, and it's a lot of fun to watch so far. Only 10 games, but there's some trends that you really like to see right now. Big old shining star award gonna go to Kyle Connor today. Really no surprise. Don't love giving it to the big guys all the time, but definitely deserved it today. Goal and 2 assists, point number 500 in his career. You love to see it, and he did it at home. That's a lot of fun. So Kyle Connor, enjoy your award. Very impressive output by him today. One of the best players in the NHL through 10 games this season. He's up there with the league leaders in points, so you really can't complain about that. Kyle Connor might be having a career year. I know the Red Wings aren't elite or anything, but this was a big game, in my opinion, for this Jets team. Last game, they got embarrassed for the first and second period by the Leafs on home ice. And, they changed their lines in the third, and they looked really good against the Leafs. Didn't go back to those lines in this game. It was a little disappointing to see, but it was definitely a prove-it game for that top line, and they proved that they can do it. But now they need to do it consistently going forward. You got to expect this line to be better 5-on-5. Definitely, we see that they can do it here against Detroit. Jets are one of the, poor teams 5-on-5 to start the year. Scoring anyway, the defense is more often than not fine, but the scoring has been the biggest problem, and that top line all year has not generated any points really 5-on-5. I think they only had 2 5-on-5 goals coming on into this game, and just to see them score 3 while they're on the ice in the first period, that was really cool. 2 in the first 4 minutes of the game, that was really awesome to see. If that line can get going, like I said before, this team is gross. So 9-1-0 on the season. You really can't complain about much right now, especially if that line is starting to get going, because this Jets team could be a massive problem. But that's really all I got today, guys. I loved that win against Detroit. I think that was one of the more complete games of the season. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions down there. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.